Los Angeles, an exciting, bustling city where everyone comes with big dreams and ambitions. Some to become a model, some to become an actor or actress. This is the city where stars are born. But that's not why Lucille is here. She is here for a very different reason. Around 6 p.m., Lucille got off her bus and went into the Sunny Hill Motel for the night. Walking in, the first thing or person she noticed was the man behind the counter, trying to speak to one of the customers. "The AC in my room hasn't been working since yesterday. Either get me another room or fix the AC." "I can get you another room, but you have to pay extra." "This is ridiculous. Pay extra for this cheap service? Forget it." As the man stormed off, Lucille walked up to the counter. The receptionist eyed her up and down as she took out her purse. "Hello, I'm Jack. Is there anything I can help you with?" "I need a room, preferably a cheap one, but it has to be at the farthest corner so I can have some isolation. I can get you a better room with a discount just for you." "No, that's alright. I'm not looking for a better room. I just want some privacy." "There is a room at the very end of the hall, but we don't give that room to anyone. I can give you another room at the same price." "No, I want that room." "You don't understand, it's not." As Lucille and Jack got into a rather argument over the room, a woman from the office called out to him. She was most likely the manager. "Give her the room." Jack reluctantly looked back before he handed Lucille the key. Lucille then went to the room at the far end of the hall around a small turn. There weren't any rooms next to this room, and it was far from the lobby as well. The motel didn't have much arrangements apart from a bed and a table. Lucille dropped down her bags and headed into the bathroom to get freshened up. She washed her face and looked into the mirror. But it was when she turned off the tap that she suddenly started to hear a sound. The sound of someone breathing. As Lucille listened closely, she realized it was coming from the wall behind her. She turned around, noticing a ventilator slightly gaping open. There was someone up against the wall, probably watching her. But Lucille didn't care, nor did she mind. She continued on with her shower. A cold rinse later, she put on her robe and walked out to the register. Not surprisingly, Jack wasn't there. Was he the one on the other side of the wall? She started ringing the bell continuously, and within a while she saw Jack rushing around the other side of the hall opposite to her room. He was sweating and his eyes were big and bulgy, staring at her. "Is there a problem?" "No, I just needed some room service. There isn't any lotion in my room. Will you please get it for me?" "Of course. I'll be there in a moment." Lucille returned to her room and went on with her business, and in just about 10 minutes, she heard a knock on her door. She quickly opened to see Jack standing there with a curled smile spread across his face. "Your lotion." "Come in, you can leave it on the table." "Sure, wherever you like." Jack excitedly walked in, passing Lucille a glance from head to toe. All her clothes, even her private clothes, were all over the room. Jack's pulse started to increase. Does she have in mind what I have in mind? For a moment it felt like she saw me. Am I going to get lucky? Just when Jack was about to place the bottle down, he suddenly felt something hard hit him over his head, and before he could turn around, he fell to the floor, unconscious. When Jack woke up, he had a tremendous pain in his head. He realized he couldn't move, his hands and legs were tied, and he was sitting on a chair. He looked up to see Lucille pacing in the room. When she saw him awake, she walked up to him. "What are you doing? Untie me!" "What's the hurry? Let's have some fun first." Lucille went to the table and took out something from her bag. She flipped on the switch, and at once, an electric beam pulsated through it. Jack widened his eyes in horror as he tried to break loose from the ties. "Help! Help!" "You can scream as loud as you want. You know no one's going to come to this room, and no one's going to hear you either." "Why are you doing this to me? What have I ever done to you?" Rachel. What did you do to Rachel? Rachel Collins was an 18-year-old young woman with ambitions of becoming a model. She was beautiful and talented and wanted her face to be seen. But her single mother disapproved of her dreams and of her lifestyle and choices, especially when it came to her boyfriend, Austin. Rachel had been dating Austin since she was 16, but he was 3 years older than her. Austin was a troubled kid. He was always in bad company, he dropped out of high school in his junior year, and now was doing all the wrong things for money. And what made his lifestyle and choices worse were his horrible habits, wasting his health and his mind. It was after Rachel graduated high school that the couple got talking about what was to come next. "Rachel, you're beautiful. If you go out there, I know you can become something. But if you stay with your mother, she won't let you follow your dreams. She thinks she's building your future, but she's only ruining it." "I know, Austin, but I don't have that kind of money. How am I supposed to do anything?" "Rachel, we could do something together. I can help you. And just think about it. I want to be with you, and I know you want to be with me, but your mother's never going to let us be together. So what are we going to do? Let's start a new life. I have a plan." Austin and Rachel decided they would run away to LA together, where Rachel could audition and start building her modeling career. Sooner or later, she would eventually get a job somewhere, somehow. And as for the money, on Austin's insistence, that night before Rachel left, she sneaked into her mother's room and stole her mother's savings. Together, Austin and Rachel caught a bus to Hollywood and booked into the cheapest motel they could find, the Sunny Hill Motel, where they requested for an isolated room that they would eventually make into their home. Over the next couple of weeks, Rachel tried out at various studios and soon got a few projects on her hand. After doing a few photo shoots, people started to view her differently, and it had also added to her experience. In the coming weeks, Rachel got her hands on a very big project that would make her the next sensation, but everything had its price. "You're beautiful, but you need a little change. I recommend you go to this plastic surgeon." "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, we're this close to success. This is a big opportunity for me." Rachel had saved some money from the days she had been working, and with the money she stole from her mother, she was able to afford the surgery. She remained at the hospital for about a week, where Austin had been beside her. She then returned to the motel for the rest of her recovery. Doctors had told her she would have to wait a month's time in which she would have to undergo therapy before she could take the bandages off. So Rachel impatiently waited for the day she would get a glimpse of herself. And when she finally did, she fell in awe. Everyone fell in awe. Her face had transformed. Her body had transformed. She looked beautiful. "Rachel, you look amazing. It's like you're a completely different person. You look perfect." It was then that Rachel accepted the project she was promised. She was doing great, her modeling career was uprising, and she was looking forward to something big in the near future. Austin, however, still wasn't doing much. It was one afternoon after Rachel had returned from a shoot that she found Austin on the floor half passed out. "Austin, it's the middle of the day and you're not in your senses." Yeah, I know. I'm going to take a bath." In that state, Austin soon fell asleep. When he woke up, however, he had an awful headache. The room seemed strangely quiet. and Rachel wasn't here. It was almost midnight. Where was she? Austin called her number but realized her phone was on the nightstand. He then went to the bathroom and knocked. "Rachel, are you in there?" But there was no reply. Instead, the door creaked open. Austin stepped inside, devastated, to the bathtub filled to the brim, and Rachel drowned inside. That night, police were crowded at the motel. Forensic teams carefully removed her cadaver from the room, and the entire place had been sealed down for investigation. When forensic reports arrived, the police came to the conclusion that Rachel had overdosed on the painkiller she was given after a recent surgery she had. Austin was taken into custody and interrogated. "Did you know she was taking this? Did she tell you anything?" No, Rachel had stopped taking the medications because the surgery was a success. Everything went perfectly. The doctor said she didn't need to take the medications anymore. The police came to the conclusion that Rachel had taken her own life, and Austin was let go. He returned back to his hometown quite depressed and started living by himself in a rundown apartment, just getting by and trying to move on. It was one of these days that Lucille went to visit him. "You? You thought I would let you go after what you did? You took my Rachel's life." "No, it wasn't me. She took her own life. After she started gaining popularity, someone had leaked her scandalous pictures of her. But at the time, we didn't go to the police because it would only shame her image and when she was progressing in her career. It was easier for her to deny the pictures weren't her at all, but I guess she never got over it. It was your fault. You got my Rachel into this. You did this to her." In a rage, Lucille had taken Austin's life that dark night. But she knew this wasn't the end. There was more people involved. She searched up Rachel's leaked pictures, and as soon as she saw them, she knew it had to be taken by someone at the motel they were staying at. So she traveled to LA and booked into the Sunny Hill Motel, taking the same room Rachel had been staying in. It was then that she noticed the ventilator. She knew it was Jack who was guilty. In disgust, Lucille stared at Jack, now pleading for his life. "I am her mother. You liked watching her, didn't you?" "Yes, it was me. I took the pictures. But believe me, I didn't kill her." "You will pay for what you did." "No. No!" "Rachel, my sweetheart, you were smart. You were beautiful, but I didn't recognize the potential in you. That's why you're so far away from me today. Forgive me, Rachel. But I avenged your death. I didn't spare any one of them." "Jack, no. No, you can't leave me. You can't leave me all alone." This is Miranda Jameson. Years ago, she herself had come to LA trying to build her career. She was an aspiring model and a struggling actress, but she was doing okay for herself. It was at a time like this that she met Jack and they started dating. Miranda was happy in her life with Jack. But there was one thing she was desperate for: fame. When years passed and Miranda didn't get that big chance, she started considering other options to her success. She thought if she got plastic surgery done, she might get the chance she was waiting for. But when she went under the knife, her surgery didn't turn out the way she had expected. Her once beautiful face had become unbearable to look at. This one decision of hers had finished her career forever. From that day, Miranda never showed her face to anyone. But every time she looked at herself, she lost a little part of the sanity left in her. However, despite her looks, Jack still married her, which gave Miranda the solace she desperately needed through hard times. But it was soon that she noticed Jack was consistently unfaithful to her, but she still loved him because only he had accepted her the way she was. However, at the same time, a jealousy and rage began to build in her for other women, especially those who successfully got their surgeries done. When Miranda saw Rachel for the first time, she watched everything that she was trying for, dearly hoping she would fail. But the day Rachel returned after the surgery, looking like perfection, she couldn't take it. The evening when Austin was passed out and Rachel was in the bathroom, it was Miranda who had gone to meet her. "Excuse me, how did you get in here?" Rachel froze upon seeing Miranda. "What happened? Are you left speechless after looking at my face? Do you think I'm ugly?" Miranda picked up the curling iron and plugged it in. "What are you doing?" Rachel said, trying to get up. But Miranda quickly waved it over the water. "If you try to move, I'll drop this in." "Stop! Why are you doing this?" "Because I want to know why it worked for you, but it didn't work for me. What makes you better than me?" "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Please, don't do this." "Take the pills." "What?" "Take the pills." It was Miranda who had forced Rachel to take her own life, too jealous to see anyone reach the success she couldn't reach. Now who's going to call me pretty?
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.